During the holiday season, the Baxter family moves to a small town in Rockland, Maine. The kids, Finn and Alexis, don't seem happy about the move because they preferred staying in their old house in California. Throughout the trip to Maine, the kids stay glued to their phones, and their parents, Curtis and Catherine, complain about this. Curtis tells the kids to put down their phones and enjoy the view of the snowy town because it's something they didn't experience in California. Catherine also mentions that the kids will surely enjoy living in the new town. Shortly after, they arrive at the house, and Curtis and Catherine look excited. Curtis asks what Finn thinks about the house, and he says it looks super creepy. Curtis looks confused and tells Finn that the house is great. After entering the house, Curtis looks really impressed and says he's sure the place will look homely once they move all their stuff in. Alexis seems surprised and asks how her parents were able to afford such a big house. As she implies that someone probably died there, Finn looks scared, and Catherine tells her not to say something like that. Alexis says she's serious, and that she has read about people getting really good deals when they find a dead body in the basement.
How do we even afford it? Did somebody die in here or something?
Catherine says no one died in the house and that they just got a good deal. Alexis still doesn't stop talking about how she thinks the house might be haunted, and Finn looks scared. Catherine and Curtis tell Finn not to fall for Alexis's attempt to scare him, but as he hears a strange sound in the house, he looks worried and asks if they all heard it too. Just then, the realtor comes out of the kitchen and welcomes them to the house. She says she was just putting some finishing touches on the housewarming gift she got for them. Curtis and Catherine appreciate this, and the realtor looks amazed to see the kids. Catherine mentions that her kids aren't very good with real people because they spend more time with their cell phones and video games. The realtor still welcomes them to Maine and says she guarantees that they'll love the house and the town. Alexis then asks if that means the realtor will take the house back if they hate it. The realtor finds this funny and tells Catherine that she has precious kids. Finn then asks if the house is haunted, and after the realtor laughs weirdly, she says it just has personality. Alexis doesn't understand what this means, but as the realtor leaves, the family starts unpacking.
It just has personality.
Elsewhere, two thieves, Sinclair and Jessica, pick up a man named Hughes in a limo. When Hughes enters the limo, Sinclair introduces him to Jessica as their new safecracker. Jessica doesn't look impressed, and Hughes seems offended. Sinclair then shows both of them the picture of the house, which he calls their next target. Jessica says it's a creepy house, but Sinclair says it's not just that. He adds that the house once belonged to a notorious bootlegger named Jimmy. Hughes looks confused and asks if they're stealing boots, but Jessica explains that Sinclair meant Jimmy was smuggling alcohol. Hughes says he doesn't really care what they're doing as long as he gets paid. Sinclair then mentions that Jimmy was the previous owner of a priceless work of art, which is Edvard Munch's The Widow. Jessica realizes that Sinclair wants the painting, and she seems pissed because all their previous attempts to steal it have failed. After hearing Jessica's complaints, Hughes says he's no longer interested because the job seems like a wild goose chase. Just then, Sinclair mentions that he has found the painting this time, and it's worth $85 million.
Oh, God, Sinclair, not again.
Hughes looks shocked and immediately changes his mind about leaving. Sinclair looks happy and tells Jessica that it seems they have found a safe cracker for the job. Suddenly, Jessica starts crying, and as Hughes looks confused, Sinclair explains that Jessica is sad because she fell in love with the last safecracker, who eventually dumped her. He then talks about his plan to steal the painting from Jimmy's old house. He says the house just went on the market, and if they get there quickly, they might be able to get inside before anyone moves in. Back at the house, the Baxter family continues unpacking and arranging their things. A mailman soon drops an envelope for Curtis, who realizes that it's for his wife. After he gives it to her, she opens it and sees an invitation to a holiday party this weekend at her new boss's place. She says it's on a private mountain, and Curtis looks excited while saying he's sure the kids would love to come with them. He then goes to Alexis's room to show her the old pop star singing machine she used to play with as a kid.
Your little pop star singing machine, remember?
Alexis just ignores him, and he decides to go to Finn's room. When he gets there, he sees Finn playing a video game and laments that he thought his son would want to explore the house with him. Finn says his friend, Captain Overkill, is online, and Curtis looks shocked. He asks if Finn really has a friend, and Finn says he does. He adds that he's always playing games online with Captain Overkill. Curtis asks if he has ever met the person, but Finn says he hasn't. Curtis then tells Finn to consider making real friends, not virtual ones. After Captain Overkill defeats Finn using pulse grenades, he laments and seems pissed about it. Curtis then stops the game and tells Finn to come downstairs to help him unpack. Finn agrees to help, and as they carry some boxes to the garage, Curtis finds a tent there. He says that he and Finn can go camping when they're settled, but Finn looks confused because his dad hates camping. Curtis says it's time for both of them to get out of their comfort zones and try new things. He then suggests taking some other boxes to the basement. Finn looks scared because he thinks there will be ghosts in the basement.
Want to take that one down to the basement, dude?
But Curtis says ghosts aren't real. After he turns on the light, Finn heads down to the basement and drops the box. As he looks around, he sees a toy on a shelf and decides to grab it. In the process, he ends up accidentally moving the shelf to reveal a secret vault. Finn immediately tries to open it, but he's unable to crack the code on the door. As he then looks at the door closely, he sees a message saying that Deadleg is watching. Almost immediately, the light goes off and Finn runs back upstairs while screaming because he thinks there's a ghost down there. Catherine eventually calms him down, but before he can explain what happened, she tells him to go outside and play. Finn says he prefers playing games in the room, but Catherine insists that there's a boy next door he can play with. Finn asks what he would even say, and Catherine says he can ask the boy what he does for fun. Finn then heads out and sees the boy next door, Mason, playing with snow. Mason looks surprised to see Finn, who asks what people do for fun in the town. Mason talks about different ways they can play with snow, but Finn doesn't seem interested. He says he has a video game.
You could come over to my place for video games.
And that Mason can come over to play with him. Mason says he can't do that because Finn's house is haunted, and that's why the last family moved out. Finn looks scared, and Mason tells him about how the last family complained about the doors creaking open and the lights flashing on and off for no reason. He adds that the house is haunted by the ghost of a gangster who was murdered there. Finn says it's definitely an imaginary story, but Mason says it's real. He also says his mom told him a long time ago that people can still hear the ghost walking around and dragging his deformed leg across the floor, looking for revenge against anyone who tries to sleep. Mason says he'd like to hang out with Finn, but that he's just too young to die. Finn then remembers the message he saw on the vault and assumes that the ghost's name is Deadleg. That night, while Finn is still playing his video game, Catherine comes to his room and tells him to go to bed. She then goes to Alexis's room and tells her to go to bed as well. Alexis pretends not to hear, and Catherine realizes that her daughter is intentionally ignoring her.
So why are we here, Mom?
Catherine then sits next to Alexis and says she knows the move has been hard on her daughter. Alexis seems pissed and asks why they are still in Maine if Catherine knows how hard it is. Catherine says it's because of her new job, which is a big step for her. She also mentions that the reason she and Curtis decided to move to Maine was to give their kids the best. Alexis tries to get her mom to bribe her by getting her a new tablet, but Catherine doesn't fall for this. She adds that there's more to the holidays than just gifts. Later that night, Catherine tells Curtis that she feels she made a mistake by bringing the family to Maine because of her job. Curtis says she made the right choice and that he appreciates everything she does for the family. He adds that he's sure she'll become the best vice president the company has ever had. Catherine still laments that the kids hate her, but Curtis says it's not true. Catherine insists that Alexis hates her, and Curtis says she just needs some time to adapt. Meanwhile, Finn struggles to sleep because he cannot stop thinking about what Mason said. He eventually runs to his parents' room and says he wants to stay with them because his room is haunted. Curtis and Catherine assure him that there are no ghosts in the house, but he says he still wants to stay with them.
This is about survival. I want to sleep in here.
Catherine says Finn is too old to be scared of ghosts, and Curtis tells him to go back to his room. Finn says he'll do that, but he'll have to take some precautions. He then sets some traps around his room and places a camera near his bed. Shortly after, he sees someone opening the door to his room, and he sets off the traps and shoots the person with a stun gun. Interestingly, it turns out to be Curtis, and Catherine quickly comes over to check what's happening. Finn says he thought it was a ghost, and Catherine seems annoyed annoyed that Finn got his dad hurt over something he made up. Curtis says he'll handle it, and Catherine leaves. Curtis then asks what's going on, and Finn says he heard a strange sound. Curtis looks around and sees a tree branch making a weird sound outside Finn's room, and he tells Finn not to be scared of it. After they all go back to bed, Sinclair and his team arrive at the house and realize that they're late. He then says they'll have to watch the house and break in when no one is at home. The next day, Catherine tells the kids that they'll be heading out soon to get a Christmas tree. Before they leave, Finn tapes a paper to the basement door and its frame. Alexis asks what he's doing, and he says that if the paper is torn when they return, he'll know that there's really a ghost in the house. Alexis doesn't think this makes sense because ghosts can fly, but Finn doesn't seem to care. Shortly after, they leave the house, and as Sinclair and his team spot this, they decide to break in. After successfully going in, Hughes picks up a gingerbread cookie on the table and eats it. Sinclair scolds him for doing this because they aren't supposed to leave a trace. He then tells Jessica to keep watch.
There can be no mistakes.
While he and Hughes head to the basement to find the painting. When they get there, they find the vault, and Hughes easily cracks it. As Sinclair opens the vault, he sees that there's nothing inside, and he looks shocked. He says his beloved Gigi should be inside there, but Hughes doesn't understand this. Meanwhile, Jessica sees a photo of Curtis and Catherine, and this makes her remember her ex. As she calls him to try to get back with him, she sees the Baxter family arriving at the house. She immediately calls the others, but before they leave the basement, she decides to look out the window to see if the family is already coming in. Surprisingly, Finn notices that there's someone behind the curtain, and he assumes that it's a ghost. The thieves quickly head toward the back door, and Sinclair sees the invitation card to Catherine's boss's party. This makes him happy because it will give him another opportunity to find the painting inside the vault. After he leaves with the others, the family comes in and assumes that Finn was just making things up.
Have you ever heard of the fable, The Boy Who Cried Ghost?
Finn then tells his mom about the missing gingerbread cookies in the bowl, but Catherine says one of the kids must have eaten them. Finn also points to the torn paper and says that the ghost has left the basement. Alexis looks scared because she saw Finn tape the door, but Catherine insists that there are no ghosts in the house. The next day, Curtis and Catherine get ready to leave for the Christmas party, but the kids don't seem interested in going. Catherine doesn't like this, and as Alexis gets her pissed, she scolds the kids and angrily says they can stay at home alone. She says Alexis will have to babysit Finn, and she doesn't want them playing video games, watching TV, or pressing their phones. Curtis then says they need to leave a phone with the kids in case of emergencies. Catherine agrees to return Alexis's phone, and she leaves with Curtis. Finn seems sad that Catherine took his game controller, and he also tells Alexis that he hasn't seen their mom so angry before. Alexis says she doesn't care, and she tells Finn not to disturb her. Elsewhere, Sinclair and his team buy some supplies at a nearby store before going to complete their mission. At the store, Hughes asks who Gigi is, but Sinclair doesn't want to talk about it. Hughes and Jessica insist that they want to know, and Sinclair says Gigi is his great-grandmother.
Gigi was my great-grandmother.
He adds that Gigi is the widow in the artwork they want to steal, and that the artist painted it after seeing Gigi with her kids. Sinclair says it's basically a painting of his family, and that's why he wants it back. Meanwhile, Catherine starts regretting her decision to leave the kids at home, but Curtis says it might help them learn some sense of responsibility. Back at the house, Finn starts playing around and having fun. He eventually finds another game controller and heads to his room to play a video game. The controller's battery soon runs out, and as Finn goes to get new ones, he accidentally drops one of them, which rolls down into the basement. He looks sad and scared because he can't go to the basement alone. Shortly after, Catherine calls Alexis to ask if everything is fine at home. Alexis says they're doing great, and Catherine says she'll continue calling to check up on them. After the call ends, Finn begs Alexis to come with him to the basement. Alexis says she wants to go to the mall, and that she'll only help him if he promises not to tell their mom. Finn says he won't, and Alexis follows him to the basement. After he picks up the battery, Alexis asks why he even thinks the basement is haunted. Finn then moves the shelf to show her the vault, but he sees that it's open. Alexis also looks shocked and knocks down the fake wall inside the vault. This reveals a secret room, and the kids cannot believe this. Finn looks scared and suggests going back up, but as Alexis sees the painting on the wall, she tries to scare him.
Like she's watching us.
Finn immediately runs away and Alexis makes fun of him. As she then looks around the secret room, she sees a shelf filled with drinks. She also spots a warning at the top of the shelf, saying that if anyone touches the drinks, they'll regret it. Alexis finds this funny and tries to remove one of the drinks from the shelf. Surprisingly, this triggers a security system to lock the door. Alexis is unable to reach the door before it closes, and she realizes that she's now stuck. She immediately calls Finn for help, but he's unable to hear her. Back at the party, Curtis and Catherine meet Catherine's new boss, Mr. Carson, who welcomes them to the party. After spending some time at the party, Catherine seems bothered that the kids are home alone, and Curtis suggests leaving. Before they can say their goodbyes, Mr. Carson announces that the roads leading down the mountain have been temporarily closed due to a little winter storm. Catherine looks sad and texts Alexis to inform her that she and Curtis will be late. While Finn is looking for Alexis, he sees the text and responds, saying that things are still going well. Finn then assumes that Alexis has gone to the mall, and he returns to his room to play his video game. After losing another round to Captain Overkill, Finn connects the game's audio and contacts the gamer to ask how he's so good. Interestingly, Captain Overkill happens to be a college student named Simon. He says he didn't know he had been playing with a 10-year-old kid, but he still shares some tips that might help Finn improve. Finn then talks about the new game he thinks he'll get for Christmas. He also asks what Simon will get, but Simon says he doesn't really celebrate Christmas since he's no longer staying with his parents. Finn asks if he won't visit them, and Simon says he can't afford a plane ticket. Finn looks sad and says he can keep Simon company by playing the game with him.
So you don't get Christmas?
Simon thanks him for this, but as Finn suddenly remembers that the house is haunted, he asks if Simon believes in ghosts. Simon says there are many mysteries in the world, and he tells Finn not to watch scary movies at night. Finn then walks up to the window to take a look at the tree branch that is making a weird sound. Suddenly, he sees a shadow downstairs and hears the sound of someone dragging his leg. He assumes that it's Deadleg, and he hides under his blanket. Interestingly, it turns out to be Sinclair, who has come around with his team to confirm that the house is empty. Hughes says someone told him that the house is haunted, but Sinclair doesn't believe this. He adds that they need to get some tools before coming back to break into the house. Before they leave, Finn tries to scare Deadleg by turning on all the lights in the house. The thieves look scared, but Sinclair says it's probably just a security device because he's sure there's no one at home. After he leaves with the others, Finn sees that the shadow is gone, and he looks happy. As he then walks around the house, he hears Alexis calling him through the vent in the secret room. He looks shocked and realizes that she's stuck, so he heads to the basement to try to open the door. Unfortunately, he's unable to do this, and he decides to go to a supermarket to buy all the tools he needs to get his sister out of the vault. When he gets to the supermarket, he's only able to buy a spool of string with his money.
$1.68.
On his way home, he bumps into Sinclair, who seems pissed and tells him to watch where he's going. As Sinclair walks away, Finn sees him dragging his injured leg, while the metal attached to it makes a weird sound. He then follows Sinclair to his car and hears him talking to Jessica and Hughes about breaking into the house to steal the painting. Finn looks shocked and realizes that the house isn't haunted, but the thieves are about to break in. When he gets home, he tells Alexis that some art thieves are coming to steal the painting, but she thinks he's just making things up. He then goes back to his game and tells Simon that thieves are about to break into his house. Simon asks what game he's talking about, but Finn just mentions that the thieves are almost there and he needs advice on what to do. Simon then says it's like a game he has played before, and he asks what skills Finn has. Finn says he's good with traps, and Simon tells him to set up as many as he can because the game might be tough. He also tells Finn to set up up traps that deploy on their own. Finn thanks Simon for the advice and goes around to set booby traps around the house. After the thieves arrive, they decide to go in through the garage.
The ghost knows we're coming.
Oh, really?
As Jessica and Hughes try to open the door, it sets off a barbell that knocks them down. The thieves don't give up easily, and as they split up, they get hurt by different booby traps placed around the house. Finn enjoys this and goes back to his game to talk to Simon, who says he can't find the game Finn is playing online. Finn says it's real, and Simon realizes that Finn is in danger. He then offers to call the cops, but when he asks for Finn's address, Finn says he can't give it to a stranger. Simon says he's only trying to help, but Finn just walks away and goes to talk to Alexis, who now believes that there are art thieves in the house. She suggests calling their parents before the thieves get to her, but Finn says Alexis's phone is dead. He also tells her not to worry because if the thieves get to her, he'll trigger Plan B. As Alexis asks what Plan B is, Finn just walks away to continue torturing the thieves. Meanwhile, Catherine looks worried because she can no longer reach the kids. Mr. Carson soon announces that the road will be cleared in 3 days, but Catherine begs him to do something because she needs to get back to her kids.
Sir, 3 days is unacceptable.
Mr. Carson then agrees and says he'll make some calls. After a while, Catherine and Curtis are able to leave, and on the way home, Simon calls Catherine to tell her what's happening at the house. Catherine asks who Simon is, and he introduces himself as Finn's online friend. He also mentions that he hacked Finn's gamer tag and got Catherine's information from the credit card statement. Catherine looks shocked and thinks he's a kidnapper, but he tries to explain that he's not. Catherine doesn't listen to him, and after she ends the call, she calls the cops to report him. Back at the house, the thieves get hurt by more booby traps, but they soon catch Finn and lock him up in the back seat of their SUV. Sinclair tells Jessica to stay with Finn, while he and Hughes try to find the painting. Elsewhere, the cops trace Simon's number and find his house. They spray him with tear gas before he can explain what's really happening. When he eventually gets the chance to speak, he shows them the live recording from a camera that Finn left in the basement. The cops see Sinclair and Hughes trying to open the vault, and they realize that they have made a mistake because they're far away from where the real crime is happening.
We have to find a way into this house.
After Hughes unlocks the vault, Sinclair sees Alexis holding the painting and threatening to destroy it if they try to hurt her. Sinclair seems pissed and tells her to give it up, but she refuses. Meanwhile, Jessica gets a call from her ex, and this leaves her distracted. Mason then starts throwing snowballs at her because he knows she's keeping Finn inside the car. After she passes out, Mason helps Finn escape so he can go inside to save his sister. Just as Sinclair talks about his plans to keep the painting, Hughes looks shocked and tries to snatch it. Almost immediately, Finn triggers the vault's security system to get the door locked. Alexis realizes that it's his plan B, and she quickly escapes before the door closes. Sinclair and Hughes get trapped in the basement, and Alexis and Finn head out of the house just as their parents and the cops arrive. Curtis and Catherine look happy to see their kids, and Finn tells the cops that there are 2 bad guys in the basement. Interestingly, Mason has already built a snowman around Jessica, and the cops also arrest her. The next day, Catherine apologizes to Finn for not believing him when he talked about the ghosts earlier. Finn says it's nothing and that it turned out to be something he could handle. Just then, Curtis comes into the house and tells his family that they have just received a $30,000 reward for helping the cops catch Sinclair and his team.
So we got that reward to $30,000.
This makes them happy, and Catherine says they'll go on a shopping spree. Later that day, Catherine apologizes to Simon for reporting him to the cops, even though he was only helping. Simon says he understands, and Catherine offers to pay for his plane ticket so he can spend Christmas with his family. Simon thanks her for this, and Finn looks happy for his friend. On Christmas Day, after the Baxter family opens their presents, Finn heads out to play with Mason, and his parents look happy to see that their son son now has a real friend. After Finn and his family move to a new house in Maine, he sees the scary basement and concludes that there are ghosts around. The house soon becomes a target for art thieves who want to steal an old painting in the basement. Finn initially mistakes them for ghosts, but when he realizes that they're thieves, he sets booby traps around the house to take them down when his parents are away. The thieves eventually get arrested, and Finn and his family